Oh my God. No. Ew. Okay. Oh my God. We're just gonna pretend like that didn't happen. Plug in. where's everyone?
I'm here.
Is it the rain? Oh, I better be in bed too.
Give him 5.
Give him 5? You're generous.
Yeah. I think the rain is scaring everybody away today.
I think so too. I don't know what that wet stuff is in the air. I'm scaly. Nervous.
Don't know why. Wait, what is happening here? No, 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 no.
Gotta present. And then click present. Oh, okay. Just click present. at the bottom.
Last Thursday, I was told turn the AC down because it's gonna get warm with all the people in here, and then that break out, it's freezing in there.
I've got my heater going in my office right now.
I think it's lovely.
I got the shivers. Oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't sit up here. Maybe we should all just sit together right here and just talk.
Maybe tables.
Like throw the team meeting out the window completely. And just have a chat. I seriously might go into this. You know, seriously.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't mind a pivot. We might pivot. We might just hang out together and talk. A little mastermind, see what's going on. Have Austin talk about his business. I know. He share his wisdom with us. Scooch in a little closer. We got a tight knit group today.
Come on in.
We're just gonna hang out. Woo. Should I? Would you like to? Would you like to dig into the chili cook-off? Like you're ready? Are you ready to eat the chili or make the chili?
Both.
Alright. So I don't think you understand. We're obviously in real estate, we're all somewhat competitive. So when you start doing like chili cook-offs, like gloves come off. Gloves come off.
Say less.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you'll, because all the chilies are unmarked, like you just mark the number and then you vote, so you don't know whose chili to do. And you will see some of the people who make the chili, it's kind of like, what would you think about that? What did you think? Like,
Right.
how's that
Or
chili?
giving themselves votes.
Yeah, yeah. Sprinkle a little cheese on that, it kind of increases the flavor.
We just did one, friends,
Yeah.
chili cook-off at one of my buddy's houses. There was 13 chilies, 13 different crock pots of chilies.
Yeah.
So it was a full, I think, 3rd annual year, so it keeps growing and, yeah, it's very serious.
We have to bust out all the surge protectors, so we
Oh,
don't
yeah,
flood
for
in
sure.
everybody. We'll probably shut out.
No. They've got it all. They've got medals, trophies, you get a gift card, yes, it's a whole thing. It's grown over the last 3 years.
Perfect. All right, just adjourn early. Jump right in. Woo, let's do that. I know. Well, food's here and I don't want it to get cold. For sure. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I was gonna just sit down here and hang out with y'all, but we're getting some more people in the room, so it looks like we'll have a legit team meeting. Fair enough. Thanks for getting in closer. Appreciate that.
All right, friends. Look at you guys. You guys aren't afraid of a little sprinkle. Little rain. It's good for you. Good for the garden. Good for all the things. Welcome. Thanks for being here. All right. Holy cow, we got a lot of birthdays. Brian and Sarah are today. Happy birthday to these fantastic humans. Make sure you say hi when you see them and happy birthday. Tim King's got a Halloween birthday. Oh, holy cow, look at all these newcomers. Yay! Welcome to all the new humans in our office. We do. This is good stuff. Bucket fills, what you got? Got to fill a bucket. You can do it.
Travis this morning said he had 3 appointments this week.
Hey, why are you looking confused? You're like, I didn't say that. Well done. That's awesome. Who else has a bucket to fill? Yes. Aw, I love that. Ah! Little Canva class. Well done. Everybody needs to come. Jenna's first class that she's teaching. Make sure you're here and ask lots of difficult questions. Yeah, let's do it. Hey. Kurt. Well done, Kurt. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Kurt, is that how you felt? Let me help you so you stop behind. Yeah. I love that. Okay. Let's go. Okay. Nice. I love it. Kurt, what's the reason for the business? What would you attribute it to? Uh-huh. Doubling down? Turning up the dial? Yeah. There you go. The intention. Well done. I love that. I want to dig into that one a little bit more. Yes. Oh, Kurt Day. Mm. Nice to hear, isn't it? Sometimes it gives us a little check on ourselves, right? I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Good job, Kurt. Yes. I love that. I love that. I love when our agents step up in that way. So we had an anonymous donor to help out with a bold ticket. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's huge. That's who we are. We're on a roll. That's awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes. That's huge. That's a massive goal for you. So do you have clarity after meeting with Lindsay? Nice. Oh, I just got goosebumps.
He's got one more under contract and he can quit.
You need to talk to Kurt. How to get that done. I love that. We're on a roll. I don't want to stop it anymore. That's a client right there. Ooh, I haven't heard from him in years. Drive to Louisville. One more, close us out. Thank you. One more, going once, going twice, going, all right, good enough. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Thank you, Brian. Thanks for taking one for the team. Good job, Yolanda. We had a lot today. I love that. Y'all, Norris wants to talk to me really bad. The what? Yeah. It was content. That's all that matters. I love it. Oh, hey, we're hopping right in. Well, we're talking all this business planning and all this fun stuff. It's the time of year where we have that conversation. And I think sometimes we talk about it so much that we forget that we're still in a time where we need to help people buy and sell houses. The reality is y'all got another quarter left of the year, and we need to not forget about that. We're not doing our business planning just so we start doing business next year. We're still foot on the accelerator, pay attention to what's happening in end of year and close out the year strong. But one of the things that we found was a recent article from Inman talking about navigating the fall 2025 market and how important that the strategy they're suggesting is. And this is stuff that you guys have heard. We've talked about it previously, but I kind of wanted to jump into this and get very specific. It's a very short article, but basically it's talking about the fact that we are moving into a balanced market, right? And so with that balanced market, we've got to figure out what our strategy is to make sure that we are doing our best job possible for our sellers. Says there, the frenzy's over. Success now depends on pricing, presentation, and planning. I thought it was interesting that they added the last one, planning, because what we've been focused on is the pricing and presentation, right? You've heard Peter say, you've heard all of us say, it's a beauty contest and you have to price right, right? I like this part because it's also talking about the planning, and we'll get into that a little bit more. One thing that was on there too was, I thought this was interesting. Today's market looks very different than it did 15 or 20 years ago. Nearly half of U.S. homeowners, that's 45%, have lived in their homes for over 15 years, meaning that your potential sellers, they last experienced a transaction in a completely different climate, right? But the key changes that have happened, prices since that time, the 15 years, prices have tripled. The average existing home price rose from $145,000 in the year 2000 to $435,000 in mid 2025. Inventory is rising. We got a 4-month supply. Buyers have more options and more negotiating power. I also thought it was interesting that what we've seen are the regions that are in the South and West, their inventory has definitely increased. Where we are, as far as the Midwest and Northeast, we remain pretty undersupplied. So what you guys are experiencing is different than what people in the South and what the people in the West are experiencing. So that goes back to using local data. You guys should know the local data like the back of your hand. The other part that I thought was interesting is the amount of wealth. because they've been in their homes and because of the appreciation, the amount of equity that your seller is sitting on it's insane. This gave us an example of if you purchased your home in 1995 for 114,000, guess what it's worth? How much equity you have today? $435,000 in equity. If you bought your home in 2005 for 229,000, $336,000 in equity. If you bought in 2015 for 236,000, you're sitting on $284,000 of equity. How would you have a conversation with a potential seller knowing that? So your idea is with that is actually helping them use that money to invest, to build their real estate portfolio, build their wealth and their legacy, right? Love that. What else could you use that money for? Repairs, upgrading, prepping for showing. So if I'm sitting on $300,000 in equity and I really want to get $500,000 for my house, and you are thinking, the condition it's in right now, we're looking at maybe a 450, possibly a 470. That conversation that you're having with that potential seller is you could take them in a completely different direction if they're sitting on hundreds of thousands of equity. But how do you know that? How do you know about their equity? You ask them. You talk to them. Yeah, that's in your seller consult. And that's what one of these things, what they're talking about here is really doing the preparation when you're having conversations with sellers and understanding what does their equity look like? What do they plan on using it for? A lot of sellers don't even realize the kind of equity that they're sitting on. And it's up to us to understand and how to convey that message with them. If I'm sitting down with a seller, every single one, it says it right here, every listing presentation that you guys are going on should begin with a personalized equity review. You've got to know this information so you can consult with your clients. Why is that important, Brian?
We had to deal all apart this week because the job of walking the person process. Things. So in that process, working for the maybe there's 4. Some cases there's 3 or 4.
For sure.
They did like forbearance type of thing. Stacks those things that I haven't seen 3 or 4 of. So where a lot of times they don't even know that. Oh, sure. I don't want to pay that.
Right. In the process.
So even like today, I think it's more even more preliminary title search. Where you live, you have time in the plan, and like that's the planning part.
Yep.
Don't always shotgun it and bring something hard. Put a plan together on making sure that when you do list, that you've got now money into photos and all the other shit.
Then you can sell it.
You're gonna be able to sell it, and like the seller isn't gonna not have enough equity to make the deal happen.
Right.
They gotta bring money and they don't have it.
And those can be hard conversations, but you have to have them.
You have to be knowledgeable enough to know that. And if you see solar panels, like there's things that just, as a good listing agent, works.
Mhm.
You know, because sometimes you do that analysis, and say, we can't sell this,
Yeah,
and that's okay. Did your job.
right. That's part of it.
And I'm trying to make sure if you're selling a condo that is warrantable, or if it's FHA approved or not, ask beforehand before you set up a certain offer, to, you know, make you look unprofessional in front of your potential seller, or you as a buyer, you're buying. You have to research those problems.
Well, I think the key is you're not taking things at face value. You have to ask questions and you have to dig in, right? And you have to have those tough conversations. But you've got to ask them how many more, do you have a mortgage? Do you have more than one mortgage? Are you current on your mortgage? Did you take a forbearance? You're asking these kind of questions when you're on that listing presentation. Do you know what your equity is? Do we have equity? Do we know how much? Yeah.
Somebody owns a house, I want to represent it, right? And they have all these, forbearances and liens, it's got so much that they can't sell the house because they can't cover closing, or if they owe more than what the house is worth.
That's a short sale. That's, I mean, that's a process. They're gonna come back. Short sale, where they basically have to extend that payoff for less than balance.
Which is why it has the name short sale. Doesn't mean it happens quickly. It just means they're basically agreeing to sell the loan short.
Or if they
Yeah.
have money to make up the difference. You know, but in most cases where that's happening, they don't have, like, they did that because they were.
So in your situation, without the one of the client, what happened?
They're kind of stuck.
In the house, paying it, they didn't have enough to cover.
Unless they didn't, so they have to go to the bank, right? And then they have to prove some sort of a hardship. Usually, right?
Mhm.
Short sale proven, but it's gotta be a reason.
No, I'm not just saying a short term, like your.
The situation that they're in right now is that the seller is not transparent or was not aware of certain needs. And so they're under contract with the buyer. And the problem is that there's time of the essence. And so now either the seller has to bring $22,000 to the table, which is not in order to close, or they have to go back and get it approved by the lender to be a short sale.
Which takes forever.
So it still was a short.
It can be if they're gonna want.
With the condo board and FHA, I think though, is something about their insurance or their.
A lot of times, insurance has gone up so much that associations don't want to pay that extra cost. Or if like a lot of condos have been sold to the same buyer in that area, and you know, a couple of people own maybe to that, that's a building, they could lose their approval.
Yeah.
Right, so that policy, you know, approval, you know, happens quite a bit, so we have, you know, ask the HOA association, you know, kind of do that information for you.
They have a breakdown of property management, they have a breakdown of investor. And if it exceeds a certain percentage, then.
We'll do it. Point is,
Should be able to, like, kind of pull, telling the association, that whether you're on the buy side or sell, you work with the lender either way, to reach out to the lender, they can say, hey, is it FHA approved?
right.
So listing agent doesn't know, if it's uncertainty. Well, it sucks, but sometimes you gotta go above and beyond and do something that are not necessarily on my side.
Absolutely. Even the spot approval.
And that's why you do it, yes, and that's, there is
Spot approvals.
available, but these are the questions and these are the little extra research, like Kurt says, make sure you're working with a partner, so that you're doing this before you put your client in jeopardy in a contract.
Yeah.
You do it
For
before.
non-board.
Yeah, but it's
Or
more
down, like, you know, if you had an FHA buyer that's trying to put it down, you can't do that. Have to
Right.
go to the vault. You still get it covered.
If they love the property, your lender should show you the different options, because it's gonna be different, you know, it's not gonna be as cheap or as favorable. But if the condo is what they want, there is options to get it.
I love the idea of doing the title search before you list. We used to do that on our team, and I haven't done it in several years, but it's not a bad idea to have that title search run. You're just contacting your title
Yeah, and
company.
Once that's done too, I try to. Already
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of the buyers will go with that because they want the convenience of a title company that's already familiar with the property. Point is, do your homework. Ask questions. Don't make assumptions. And what this article really is telling us too is the preparation for going into spring market 2026. You know, everybody wants to list their house going into the spring, right? Nobody wants to list their house in the winter. The reality is you guys need to have the conversations with your potential sellers now. These conversations need to be happening now. We've just talked about how many things did we just talk about that now you're like, okay, now I've got to ask this question. I've got to ask that question. I've got to dig into this. You need the prep time and your seller needs the prep time. If we're sitting on $300,000 worth of equity and I can throw 20 grand in my house, it's going to take me some time to do that, right? So I can have the conversation today and we could be ready to list in March, but we're starting to plan now.
Peter did a whole segment yesterday on this. They talk about the inspections.
He did the inspection one, yeah.
And that's for your sellers to be prepared to list, because yesterday.
Yep.
MLS, there were 71 new listings yesterday and 100 price reductions. Wow.
Massive. So if I'm going to market and I've done an inspection, I've done a title search, how healthy do I look as a seller to a potential buyer? Right?
Pretty good. Limits your surprises too.
It
You know, I mean,
limits
that's
the
worst thing
surprises.
is You feel good about the photos taken with a hot new listing in
Yep.
the neighborhood. All of a sudden, you know, you've got 5 offers, you're under contract, but then you're going back on in a week because of something that could have been easily avoided.
Yeah.
And then now you're now having to compete with, oh, well, we're back on market. Everybody's gonna be like, well, what's the story, right? Because
Right.
There's always a story. Well, we just missed something so minute that could have been easily fixed early.
Yeah. Lots of clarity there when you do the home inspection and the title search before you take the listing. Whole point is identify and schedule the cost effective. No, good. Yeah.
So I tell myself, let's do the home inspection and have them take it.
Yeah.
And then we can offer that to them, to the buyer.
What are the main reasons why you guys, one of the main reasons why you want to do the home inspection yourself? If you do the home inspection yourself, you can use anybody to fix what it is and then you can show the report. If you go through the process and they do the home inspection, and if you got a concern on, you know, or it comes up on the appraisal or something like that, now it's subject to having like a certified person, or you know what I'm saying? Like, yes. So
Then the buyer's
it's
saying, I want you to
cheaper.
use XYZ company. Right.
If it can be cheaper, you just fix it up front, get the inspection, if there's anything that you need to fix it. It'll be cheaper than if you were, you know, out against the, during the post-inspection.
And it's just that it's also the whole like visual of it. I mean, if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at properties and I see that a seller has taken the time to do a title search and a home inspection before they hit the market, I'm telling you, I'm looking at that seller different. I'm looking at that house differently. Why is it a good idea for a seller to understand in this market what kind of potential pitfalls there might be through inspection? If they get the home inspection before you list, why would that be a good idea?
And if you're open to being prepared.
I know what we're dealing with. No surprises. Yeah, no surprises. Plus, I just really like the fact that the seller's taking the initiative to do it, because there's clearly wanting to sell me a product that they care about.
I see what you're doing, but how do I know that that's not your money? That's the inspector. You gotta deal with it. You gotta, maybe,
Yeah.
as a buyer, I'm like, buyers.
Oh, yeah, I'm still doing my own inspection. No. Yeah, for sure. I'm still having my buyer do it, unless my buyer just believes in that inspector.
But if we do the inspection free, it saves that time of them coming back with it, us having, don't get it done. If we get it free, post it, you know, get it fixed, and then we can offer it to them, they can go do their inspection, and they shouldn't come up with money, because we already went.
We addressed it. Or you go in and say, I realize that the plumbing has some issues and I'm not touching it.
And this is what.
Here's the info. Or they told us there were some issues with plumbing and we went ahead and took care of that for you, Mr. Buyer. We really want you to enjoy this house.
Yeah, you can either make the repairs because you found it out beforehand, or you can price it accordingly.
Yeah,
You can
if
say,
I'm
you know,
sitting on
you're
all
gonna
this
get the price
equity,
because of it. Yeah.
if I'm sitting on this equity, why wouldn't I fix the plumbing?
Right. It just gives your client, if you're representing the seller, more confidence going into the idea that,
Absolutely.
hey, you know, there's gonna be buyers coming to the table, but like we already know X, Y, Z.
Yep.
So, you know, we can kind of steer the conversation once we get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that
That's
point.
very important right now.
I love that point.
It keeps leverage to your client.
It keeps the power with the seller. Yes. Mm. That's actually a really good point, by the way. I'm glad you brought that up. We've all seen that. We've all seen that. You guys, when your home inspector comes out to inspect the property for your buyer, we want them to come back before closing and make sure that repair was done. I don't know about you, but I'm not putting my eyeballs on something saying, yes, that's been repaired. I'm not qualified to do that. But that inspector who's already checked it out can come back and do that for you. Absolutely bring that inspector back in. Thank you, Jennifer. The key here is take the time to do the planning. You and your seller should be having conversations now about all of these things so that you're presenting the absolute best product when you go to market. If we know you're in a pricing war, if we know you're in a beauty contest, why would it not make sense to also prepare? We know these things about this market, so it makes sense for us to prepare and for our sellers to prepare. So if they're putting you off saying, nah, we're not listing till spring, get in the house today and have the conversation.
Right.
Absolutely. The last one says, get that agreement signed now. Nothing that says you can't do that now. Also talked about decluttering and staging. Again, that goes back to the beauty contest, right? Got to be presenting a nice home. I was talking to Daniel before the meeting. I said, with your photos, I imagine you're seeing a lot of houses in good shape right now. Because agents know and sellers know they've got to present the absolute best, put their best foot forward. You didn't have to do anything. Yeah. Those days are gone. Are we worried? Which is. Oh, there's not a slide. Austin, you're hanging out in here. You got some, I'd love to hear your take on all the stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Hold on. Trying to get my phone to work. Not working, totally frozen.
Well, Austin, I was looking at it yesterday, his business is up over 260%. And a lot of it. is
260?
Related to, yeah, 263%, but a lot of it related to a lot of the school conversation, what we're talking about, such as like your listing efficiency is almost.
Holy cow.
So it's like, I don't know, give some insight on the process and what's the typical 400,000 plus.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not reinventing the wheel by any means, but a lot of what we've already talked about is stuff that I implement definitely. I am mostly sphere of influence. That's 95% of my business. So it's more just year round, constantly touching, right? Constantly circle prospecting, if you will, my own book to make sure that if there is somebody who's thinking about selling, like you said, thinking about selling in the springtime, in the summer of next year, okay, well, like, let's have these conversations now. And then once we get closer, once we get to that point, making sure that the expectations are set before we sit down to meet of, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Make sure you're prepared for any questions that you need to ask me. Make sure your house is obviously like ready, because when I get there, the first thing we're going to drop everything and you're going to show me as if I'm a buyer. And then I just kind of let them talk about their own house. Most of the time people like to talk about their house. So that's what I always start my listing appointments with. And yeah, I mean, I might have a relationship with them, so it's a little bit easier that way, but I set the expectation before we get there. Once we get there, once we finally sit down and we're done with the tour, I reset the expectation again. It's like, this is what we're going to review. This is what we're going to discuss. Make sure you ask any questions during and after. And then once I kind of figure out, okay, it's going to work for both of us to work together, I reset the expectation of what's it going to look like before we're listed, while we're listed, in the market that we're in at that time. Especially over the last like 2.5 years, it's been like, oh, we're in this market. Now we're in this market. Oh, we're back to this market. And I think we're slowly steering towards that balanced market and kind of staying there for a minute, depending on what obviously the spring does. But yeah, just constantly handling the expectations throughout the entire process, before, during, and then as we're getting to the closing table and after that too. So that way I can get referrals. Obviously, being a sphere of influence business, that's critical for me to just constantly circle back. But yeah, just managing the expectations has been my biggest forte, if you will, because there are people that are sitting on a lot of equity and they just don't know what to do. And some of them are young.
Yeah.
Myself included, just sold my own first house. And I mean, we were sitting on a very nice chunk of equity. We were there for 5 years. And so, I mean, I'm not the only one in that situation.
Yeah.
So you've got young 30-year-olds doing their first time actually selling, and they've got $200,000. Like, what should we do? Yeah, okay, we can go and buy a house, that may be a little bit out of stretch, because now we have this sort of leverage with all this cash available, or we could do this instead. And so it's just kind of, I guess, more educating, managing expectations, and just hearing out the full story. So what we've literally just talked about is just making sure that you understand their wants, their needs, and the full picture of, okay, do we have equity? Is this factual? Do we actually have all this equity? If so, what do you want to do with it? So yeah, I mean, just kept really reiterating everything we've already talked about. That's what I've really been focusing on.
Sometimes our sellers don't even know what to do with it.
No, 100%.
Like, and they're looking to you to say, here's
Right.
some options. Have you ever considered this? Have you considered that?
Right. Yeah, or I mean, so I have a business where I flip houses as well, and I've had some rental properties, and so they see that side of it and they just are intrigued, and they're like, what could I do with that? And so we dive into that opportunity, and then they get intrigued by that. Okay, well, maybe I could take some of this equity and start building out, my war chest, as Peter likes to put it, rental properties, so you can eventually not have to rely on your active income. So yeah, it's education, honestly. I mean, a lot of my sellers I deal with are first-time sellers,
Okay.
just because of the demographics of kind of who my friends are, family members, and stuff like that. You're dealing with young 30-year-olds, mid 30-year-olds. This is the first time they've ever sold a house, but they've obviously bought, so they've experienced that side of it. So it's just, yeah, educating them on what can be done with now all this. Yeah, it's great. You've been able to establish this insane amount of equity over a short period of time. But now what can you do with that to kind of multiply that?
Make it work for you.
Exactly. So making sure that they're educated on all possibilities of what to do with it, and then make sure that they're also educated on the process and keeping those expectations, understood along the way.
Since the majority of your business is your sphere, do you find it difficult to ask some of those questions that we were talking about earlier? Are you up to date on
No.
your mortgage?
It's not just, I think, just due to my personality.
Yeah.
I'm easy to have those sort of more difficult conversations, even if it is somebody who I have family members with. I think it's easier in my opinion. But that's just my personality. So I don't know if it's, for everybody that way, but I think there's ways of spinning that conversation or steering the conversation into talking about those kind of topics that are a little bit more difficult. Especially when you're dealing with a family member or you're dealing with friends. That was my biggest barrier to kind of take a turn off this exact conversation. That was my biggest barrier into my sphere of influence at first. I've only been licensed for about 5 years now. The first 2.5 years, the amount of friends that were buying for the first time that went elsewhere, I couldn't even tell you. It was beyond two hands.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're my best friend. Honestly, I wasn't sure if you were a realtor, kind of giving me those roundabouts. But it was just, that was the biggest barrier because, they feel like you are now into their personal stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So again, it comes back to that education of, well, hey, I might be a realtor, but I'm not going to be your financial planner. I'm not going to be diving into all the weeds. I'm helping you with this transaction. I need to understand some of the basics beforehand to help you. But it's just education, especially with my sphere, because the more that I've educated over the years, one, the more that they've known that I'm competent, that I am a real estate agent, and that's what I do. But two, that they know the process, they know how it's going to be, because like I said, a lot of my sphere is first-time sellers, and so they just don't know what they don't know, and just continuing to educate, continuing to make sure that they know how the process actually works with hiring an agent, what they're going to have to deal with, and then, like I said, from there, just setting the expectations and educating them on what can be done with everything else after.
Would it be fair to say that you basically spent the first year of business building the trust with your sphere to take you seriously and know what you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I knew just based off of what I was interested in doing on the sales side of this business that I wanted to focus on my sphere. I can cold call, it's fine, but I'm not passionate enough to do it as consistently as you need to. But I knew that what I can do is I can take care of the people that I already know, and I can take them out to lunch and enjoy that hour, opposed to, having to call the same person 10 times just to potentially get an appointment. You can have a lot of success doing that.
Right.
I just knew that my personality didn't call for that.
Right.
So I'm sorry, what was your question?
We're just asking about how you spent the time at the beginning of the year building that trust.
So honestly, it was just building trust. As I said, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of friends. I even missed some family members that maybe
we've all done that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a dagger every time it happens. Fortunately, it hasn't happened in a couple years. But it's building that trust with amongst each other personally, but it's just building your brand. It's getting it out there, whether it's social media, which is obvious, it's free. I always recommend it. Utilize it to the best that you can. Don't make it so monotonous that it's just like just listed, just sold. Like put some Q&As out there, put some informational type posts out there. Just constantly have that in the back of your head of the people that you know. Oh, Austin's in real estate. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's
Constantly
dive into that. And it just gives some talking points when you run into them again. But yeah, just building your brand, giving the confidence behind you know, they've known you your whole life, if you're working Spear.
But it's more than that, because Peyton's telling us that you've got a darn near 100% list to sell ratio.
Yeah.
So that's skill.
Yeah.
That's not just building your
I
brand,
appreciate that.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, coming back to, I guess, how I've been able to get such a high conversion rate with my listing appointments is, you know, I don't just do one call to prep for the listing. I'm talking to that person multiple times before we actually get to the appointment. So obviously the first is just kind of, you know, hey, just following up. Are you interested? Yes. Okay. Once I have that barrier broken down, they are interested in selling or buying. Okay. Well, what's your timeline? What do you want out of doing that? Okay. Now that we know the basics, the next call is going to be, hey, do you think it makes sense to actually meet up? Yes. Okay. So now I'm kind of setting the appointment, but during that phone call, I'm asking 10 to 15 discovery questions to make sure that we don't have to cross these bridges when we're in the appointment. The appointment is, it's almost like when I have a buyer client, the showing is just to kind of check off that last box. Like, I want you to know the neighborhood. I want you to know the comps before we get to the showing, because then I just want it to be like, hey, let's just walk it, get that emotional feel that it's right, check off that last box, and we can move forward. And I do that similar planning with my listings of just, you know, it's not going to be, hey, how you doing? Are you interested? Oh, let's meet up. Let's just at your house and we'll figure it out from there. No,
You're doing that
discovery
work.
question after discovery question and making sure that the expectations are set beforehand.
It's interesting you said that about the buyer, because I will tell you, I have been guilty of that over the years of showing a property and then asking my client if they're interested, and then I'll run numbers for you.
Yeah.
How backwards is that? I should know
It
that
happens.
information when I'm walking in the
It
door.
happens, and I do it too. I mean, if it's an out of the blue type person, whether
For
it's,
sure.
whether it's Spear or not, you know, obviously we're 007 agents, and if the phone rings, we're going. But if you can, you know, if it's somebody that you've nurtured for a while, whether it's a cold lead or a Spear, if you can do as much homework before you actually show the property, I feel like it always works out better in the end, because they have those questions in their head already answered.
Sure.
It's just let's just go confirm that it feels right.
Now it's all about how do I feel when I walk in the door? Because I know the data.
Yeah.
Do you need information about the listings inside?
It's not like a consistent, I guess it depends on the listing. It depends on the listing. You know, if it's a vacant condo under 200,000, I'm probably not going to leave very much like marketing material. If it's a little bit higher price point in a competitive neighborhood, I'm going to leave something. And in my opinion, I feel like when you leave marketing tools, whether it's a pamphlet or the MLS sheet or what have you, I feel like that's just another touch point for the buyers that come through to kind of have your listing on top of mind. But I like to only do that if it's a competitive listing. If I'm in a neighborhood that there's 3-4 others, you know, they're likely probably going to see those houses as well as mine. I'm going to leave something that they can take with them and tangibly, you know, at the end of the day, when they've gone through probably multiple, they see that and they go, yeah, that was the right one.
Yeah.
But I would say it's probably half the time. But yeah, good question.
I like those feature cards too, that you put in your
Yeah.
listing, pointing out stuff that maybe people don't see or know about.
Well, and coming back to the planning, I mean, if your client does do repairs, make sure those repairs are known. Don't keep those hidden. Like, even if it's obvious, fresh paint, fresh carpet, make sure those are known, because, you know, then the buyer's not walking through going, how did they come up with this price? You know, I wonder, what did they do versus what was already done before? Make those repairs and updates known.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
In this market, come up with your pricing, like, what's your pricing strategy?
Yeah, so it's obviously shifted. But I would say before a year ago, I was always pushing to at least have a couple actives, a couple pendings, a couple closed. Because then you can kind of see the full picture. You're not just going off the best, you know, 2 to 3 closed within the year. Because then that doesn't really show the full picture. Plus, we're in a market that's constantly evolving.
Right.
If I can get at least one of each, that's what I try to get. A lot of the times you're not going to get one of the actives, one of the pendings. You know, you can always kind of get a recently closed. But I do try to get at least bare minimum one of each. And then if it's heavier on the recently sold, that's fine. But I do try to show the full picture with comparables of, hey, what's our competition on the actives? What was just recently done with the pendings? And then obviously showing the comparables that, you know, have sold in the last, I try to keep it to like 3 to 6 months. And then obviously being similar housing, beds and square footage and all of that. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, what's the criteria? Yeah, for comparables, you mean? That's a good question. I try to stay right at, and then I just adjust from there. If I can't find anything that's right at the square footage, I'll keep it within, you know, a few hundred here and there. And then if I still can't find anything, I try to keep the price where we are planning to list. And then if I can't find anything, then I'll just make it, you know, obviously a bracket within maybe 25 grand each way. And then just kind of narrow it down from there based off of what I'm seeing.
I think too, what you're asking is if the value says 400, are you pricing under 400 when you list?
Like listing
Yeah.
strategy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. I personally, I'm having success probably within the last 18 months, always listing low. I preach, list low, sell high. Because buyers are just, they're already reluctant because they're being told left and right, rates are dropping, just wait, rates are dropping, just wait. So if they see a new listing, and on top of that, listings on average aren't selling immediately. You know, they're selling on average 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. And so buyers, you know, if they have any hesitancy at all, and they think, well, this is maybe listed at market price or maybe a little high in my opinion, let's wait, right? Mm-hmm. And so it takes the let's wait away, and it drives interest and demand. So it depends on the price. Let's say if you're $500,000 is where you're wanting to sell at, I would probably go somewhere between like 475 and 490, depending on the competition and how competitive the area is. Yeah, great question.
That gets you that list to sell ratio too.
Right. It helps your statistics. Yeah, it helps your statistics.
That's huge though.
But it's true. I mean, I would say more than 70% of the time, if you list correctly low, like not just like 2 grand under what you're hoping to sell, but like if you list significantly low, you're going to make up that difference and sell at or sometimes more, depending on if you get in multiple situations.
Absolutely.
I always tell my sellers, you want to put emotion in the buyers. You want them to be emotional, and that's the way they're going to do it. Is if they really like it and they feel like it's underpriced, they got to put their best foot forward.
Yeah.
What would you do? You might low start, and others things under.
Other listings.
Around.
Yeah. Right. That's a great question. I mean, you're likely going to drop the neighborhood average, which is an unfortunate situation. But yeah, I mean, if maybe one other one listed at the same time and they took the same strategy and listed just under. No, I don't know. I've not personally been in that exact situation.
That's a great question,
though. If I were to get in that situation, it would depend on what the seller wants. If they're like, hey, we've got 3 kids, we want to get this thing under contract in the first weekend, period, in the story, and I feel like that new listing is direct competition, I'm just going to match that price. Yeah.
Smart. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that very much. You guys say thank you. Thank you so much. I skipped through some of the slides because I want to save time for Daniel to have a conversation with us. Yeah, we'll get those to you. The social media stuff was on there. An update on command is on there, so we'll get that stuff to you. Daniel, you want to come say hi?
Sure. I think the conversation about
One of the things I've seen some agents do is actually like if they think that clients are gonna want to list in the winter time or early spring, they're actually taking just to look good. And that's another way, another strategy that you can use to try to get those documents signed and secure that listing is say, hey, let's sign the paperwork, go ahead and get pictures of the outside, and then that way, as soon as you're ready, we can list and actually have some decent looking pictures for the exterior. So that's one strategy you can use if you want. But the little QR code that Kristen's passing out is another resource that you can use to help be proactive as well. And that is our pre-shoot checklist. And obviously it takes you to a digital version of that. So the idea with the sticker is you can put it on your computer, on your water bottle, on your binder, whatever you're taking into your listing presentations, and have your client scan it. And then they have a little digital checklist on their phone that they can use to get ready for pictures and get ready for showings and things like that. So that's just a great resource, and having the QR code there is just a way to have it always on hand. So that's the idea there. But yeah, Daniel, Next Door Photos, we are your photography affiliate here at Seven Hills, and as such, we actually have a great bundle deal as part of our partnership. And so the other cool part about that is you also have the ability to put your photos on your office bill. So it just kind of helps keep things streamlined and all the invoicing really clean. But that bundle deal is a really, really great deal. And it's not just like, hey, what can we cram in here? It's like stuff that we think is actually going to help you win more listings and sell them faster and attract more buyers. So it's the photos, and it's a full feature floor plan. It includes our home flow video and 5 aerial photos as well. So all things that are going to help you win more listings, sell them faster, and get more eyes on your listings. So Derek Jones is our account executive. He is so he helps me with sales and stuff as well. But my name is Daniel Ziegler. Yeah, Derek popped in here earlier. He had an appointment he had to get to, though, so he's here with me today. Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Besides just standardized photography, what do you guys offer?
Yeah, so we are full service. So we do offer the photos and floor plans, the video that I mentioned. We have 3 different video options, as well as 3 tours. We are Zillow Showcase certified. So if that's something that program that you like to take advantage of, we can help you with those as well. But we do Matterport, we do the whole 9 yards, virtual staging, everything. So if it's something that you want to use to market your listing, we can do it. And we do love to do like social media type videos as well. So agent on camera, mic up, and do all kinds of fun stuff with that. We love doing that. So yeah, just keep this in mind on your next listing. Yeah. Oh, and I got Chick-fil-A for lunch. So.
Hey, and this is my friendly reminder, if you're actually doing business with our affiliate partners, they will continue to feed you. That's what we call a win-win, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into I have, I need. What do you got? Nothing?
I need 2 to 4 unit in Hyde Park, Oakley, all those types of places. Anywhere between 400,000 to 600,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this happens. Makes me so happy. I love being a matchmaker. What else we have? Oh, I can read Kendall's. Kendall has a distressed house ready for rehab. Oh no, this is what she needs. She needs a distressed house ready for rehab, a 2-1 or a 3-2, Silverton, Deer Park, Madisonville, Norwood. She's got a cash buyer. And then she's got these backwards. She has a property in Spring Grove Village, cash only investor special. And that, yep, that's in Clifton area neighborhood schools.
It's like on a cul-de-sac.
It's only going to be sold as is. What else do you have?
Springbrook Village. That's what-
But it's not.
Yeah, no, it's separate, but they're right.
Yeah, it's before you go up
Yeah.
there. It's a little dead end, that's the street, that's so nice.
I was coming down there.
What else do you have? I need anything?
He's got some listings.
The Kobe back now Washington going on the market in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Price 285 to 3 something. And then I need a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, fenced-in backyard, up to 450, Mason area, Milford, Kings, Island area.
Okay.
Going on this Friday. 2-bedroom, 2-bath, move-in ready, brand new, built in 2022. Modern, beautiful, fenced-in backyard. Forward area.
I think that's the one I figured I needed to buy for myself.
It's single level living, it's.
Oh, I should buy it. I'm getting bored of my house. I know.
Exactly, she's getting.
I
bored.
know.
She's gotta have a
I'm running out of
full-on
things to
project.
do.
Build the house.
What else? Who else has a buyer need or seller need?
I have a couple listings. I have
Okay.
a condo, over in Fairfield, and we're asking 140. It's a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet, completely refinished. I've got Shaker Run in Lebanon, awesome 4-bedroom, 3,000 square foot, new listing. 530. It's on the top third.
You need first floor?
First. I have a first floor condo over in Mason that'll be ready next month. It's like Mason Sycamore Township. It'll be 300,000.
Anything else?
Yeah, yeah, it's in Shaker Run. It's
Your chicken's getting cold.
5 beds, 75. Okay.
All right, we're good. Class dismissed. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go grab some food.
Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, I've got a buddy. He's already got a couple of duplexes. He's working.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had to roll with it, you know? Just talk.
You said it's the East floor.
Stop, sure.